This episode of the MLB Guardcast is sponsored by Sadnap Studios. Are you in need of assistance when it comes to digital arts, logo creation, website design, brand building, or designing merch? Then look no further than Sadnap Studios. The team at Sadnap Studios wants to help and make your dreams into reality. Everything is original and organically created, nothing AI. You can follow them and check out some of their incredible work on Instagram at sadnap_studios_art drop. Thanks again to the folks at Sadnap Studios. Go Guards. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it is time for yet another episode of the MLB Guardcast. I am Mike Vorhies. With me, as always, statistician extraordinaire, meteorologist, and overall phenomenal co-host, Bryan Shaw. Bryan, I was hoping we were going to delay recording just a little.
Yeah,
that means the Guardians folks are not in the World Series. Newsflash, if you haven't figured it out, they're not in the World Series.
I thought that people would want time to let all of this marinate, but
Yeah.
based on Guardians Twitter, it's already off season and there's already trade discussion taking place and
that.
free agents and all those
I
things. And,
love that.
the World Series hasn't even started yet.
Nope.
So,
Nope.
it was
the Guardians. Yeah. Go
it was a
ahead.
very
I'll
up
let you
and
start.
down. It was just a very up and down playoffs. There is there's both sides of it. You can be extremely excited that this team that nobody thought was going to do anything, that they were going to win 70 games, finish last in the AL Central, we're a AAA ball club, all those insults that everybody wants to throw out, and where pretty much everybody was not paying attention once football season started because the Browns are going to the AFC title game, all of those things, and they made it to the ALCS, and you can be really excited about that and that they made it that far. But at the same time, you can be disappointed in that you felt like there was a chance in a couple of games that if things just go a little bit differently, if a couple of decisions are made just a little bit differently, you have an opportunity, you have a chance there. Or if some decisions were made differently in the ALDS, does that then translate to things happening differently in the ALCS? And we'll get into that more.
Yeah, I mean, it was after the win in the Detroit series. I got really excited. I thought, wow, we came back, we beat the Tigers. Now we get to take on the evil empire, the Yankees, which is going to be fun. I figured the Yankees and the Guardians were pretty even throughout the season. I know they had the better record, but game one happened and we lost to the Yankees. And I'm like, okay, it's game one. It happens. You got to protect home field. It is what it is, blah, blah, blah. Game two, we lose game two. And I'm like, okay, well, one of two things is going to happen. Either we go home and get swept and the season ends, or the Guardians have to put up a fight. And well, of course, we win game three. What an amazing game three that it was. Probably one of the greatest games I think I've ever watched in my life.
And thankfully I was there to see it. Talk about
that's a
talk
memory.
about feeling low
Mm-hmm.
and disappointed to all of a sudden, oh my God, that just happened. Like that,
Yeah, and
that just happened.
that it made us feel like we could do anything. Game four, it was ours for the taking, and we gave it away. And then the same thing with game five. The guy that you have at the end of your bullpen that's supposed to be your dominant closer, unfortunately, the Yankees must have figured out his kryptonite because Clase was not Clase at all.
That was
Like when
game
the
four.
postseason
Class A
started,
did his job in game five.
Yeah, game five, it was unfortunately Hunter Gaddis
Yeah, in
who
extras.
threw a fastball to Juan Soto. He hadn't thrown a fastball to him the entire at bat. You throw one fastball, and Juan Soto's a damn good player, and he showed the world why he's a very good player. As soon as it left his bat, I looked at my spouse who I was watching the game with, and I said, "Well, until next season." And she said, "Really?" I go, "That's a 3-run homer." I said, "That's a dagger." The Guardians, I mean, it's possible. Then we got out, first out, second out, and then the game ended. So I can't blame Clase for game five. But what happened to our phenomenal closer? Like through the regular season, he gave up 5 earned runs through the entire season. And in Detroit, he gives up a home run. Or in Cleveland, he gives up the home run to Kerry Carpenter. So it shows that he's human. He does it again to the Yankees. I'm a little nervous. Like, what could he not handle the pressure? Was he tired? Was he overused? Like, it's all of those
I think it's B
those
and C.
questions.
I mean, you could see signs of it. We had talked about between series how I didn't like the usage of Class A. It worked. It got you to the ALCS, but asking him to go, what, 4 or 5 outs the game before, and then 6 outs in the final game in game five of the ALDS, it's a big ask. And it's not something he had done during the regular season. In fact, he had only done it once in the regular season, and it was in extra innings against the Yankees. He had finished off the ninth, and they brought him back in for the 10th. And so that's the only time he had gone 2 innings in a game. And so then you're asking him to do that in the playoffs. Plus, there's the familiarity aspect of, you're seeing the same relievers over and over and over and over, and you're seeing their stuff.
Just getting ready to say that exact thing. The more
So,
you pitch a reliever, the more the hitters see what they throw, and they're ready for things. And I'm
in
not taking anything away from the Yankees. They're a phenomenal baseball team. I mean, they made it to the World Series, so that they obviously did something right. They have
in
great starting pitching. Their bullpen is slightly worse than ours, but their offense is what. And when you had Stanton looking like the Giancarlo of old, and you've got Soto hitting bombs, and you've got Aaron Judge hitting bombs, and you had a catcher, what, Austin Wells, is that his name? He hits a home run against us, and like they were getting it from everywhere in their lineup. So
Yeah, I mean, Class A's velocity was down in game four. If you look at the batted balls, the ones that they hit, his velocity was down. So clearly, fatigue started to take in. Um, it's unfortunate. It just there's nothing you can really do about it. Like you can say he choked if you want to, but usage and fatigue and it just set in. And um,
we got to
the
remember Stephen Vogt is a rookie manager.
the
He
other
made a lot
aspect.
of decisions that we kind of, I know you and I had talked about it a little bit. He's a rookie manager, guys. He's never done this before.
Well, and
He's going to make mistakes.
especially with the starters, for
Oh,
most of the series,
yeah.
he doesn't let the starters go. And you have heavy bullpen usage through most of the series.
Mhm.
Then finally, in game five, you have Tanner Bybee pitching a gem.
He pitched a phenomenal game.
Why don't you pull him? Why don't you pull
I
him?
I wondered the exact same thing.
It's like vote
I
when
would
he went
not
from one
have sent
extreme to
him
the
back
other.
out. Yeah,
He
I
he
would
he
not
he
have sent him
pulling
back
guys
out.
too early. No, send him back out fine, but pull him after out two.
Yeah. I
Pull him before
mean
the two
that
run home run. And
yeah.
to the Yankees' credit, I swear every time they made contact with a decent ball, it was a home run. And like you said,
Hmm.
Giancarlo Stanton. Stanton didn't even have a one WAR for the regular season. And all of a
Yeah.
sudden, this dude's just smacking home runs just
He decided to he
constantly.
decided to finally show up for the postseason. And
It
good for them because the Yankees are going to need him because the Dodgers are loaded too. It's going to be a phenomenal World Series. Am I going to watch? No. I don't
no,
want to.
I don't
I
care
I
about
I
LA
don't
versus New
I don't
York.
want my heart ripped out knowing that it could have been us. We had a chance.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
let's be
I
excited. No one gave the Guardians a chance. You
right.
said it earlier. No one gave us a chance.
And
We won how many games? 93, I
yeah,
believe. I, I'm not going to pat myself on the back or anything. I'm pretty sure that's the number of wins that I said the Guardians would get in our season preview
do you have to go
episode
back and
way back
look?
when. I'm pretty sure I said 90, 92, 93, 94. It was something like that. I know it was over 90.
Oh,
I gave us
awesome.
a shot, but no one else did, and that's fine. Yes, the people on Twitter going at or X, whatever, everybody going nuts. Well, you got to trade Josh Naylor now, and we got to get a power bat, and oh, we got to the Dolans are cheap, and they're not going to spend any money. But really,
Well,
like
so on the
we're not even cold in the grave
right,
from being
right,
knocked out, and y'all are already talking about moves that we have to make.
right.
And nothing is guaranteed for next year. We've seen this before. The Guardians went to the playoffs in
22.
22 and then didn't make the playoffs in 23. We took a huge step back. Guys, nothing is guaranteed in this world. Would we hope that the Guardians are back in the playoffs next year? Absolutely. The Tigers are really good. The Royals are really good. The Guardians are good. The Twins can be good. And you have the White Sox, which Lord only knows what you're going to get with the White Sox. Why? Why as Cleveland sports fans do we do this? We're
Yeah,
we're all of a sudden the GM and we're going to be able to make moves to make this team automatically better. What what makes me more qualified than you, or you more qualified than me, or this guy on X to, well, you got to trade Naylor and Shane Bieber's not coming back and you're going to need two or three starters.
I think it's a coping mechanism.
It
Like
might be,
I think people are expecting Josh Naylor to be traded,
but
so
why?
they're because of trend.
Like
And
why? We're
and
not going to trade him unless he gives us a reason to trade him.
well,
Do we show
it's
up
his,
in the
it's the
playoffs?
last year of his contract.
Yeah,
They haven't extended him.
yeah, but that's what the off season's for.
And but they did let Carlos Santana just walk. Like because people are
No,
saying,
but
well, you're not going to get.
I think age had something to do with that too. He was slowly declining a little bit.
Well, my point is that they've let players
Oh yeah,
just walk into free agency before.
I don't
Michael
think
Brantley
that.
too, as well.
Well,
He,
that's
he- they didn't
true.
they didn't trade him. They have let guys walk into free agency. They don't trade everybody. And I think there's an aspect of, well, you have David Fry, you have Kyle Manzardo, you have John Quincy Noel, who can all play first base. And
Hmm.
so if Josh can get you a starting pitcher, you make that move. But my
Well, you
argument
got
is
CJ Kafis too. Don't forget about him down in the minors. He looked really really good at
he
Akron,
does,
but
but great.
let's
I
see
mean,
what he
is he
does
is he
in
Bobby Bradley
AAA,
though?
and
Like
he
that's the
could
thing.
be.
That's
He
the
could
thing.
be.
Is
That's
I don't I
why
don't
he's young.
I don't care
But
about I don't care about guys in Double A. I'm not making
do you
decisions with
strike
Josh
though
Naylor
with
based on guys with
with
Double
the
A.
irons hot? But do you strike when the iron's hot? We saw what it did with what was his name, De Los Santos, the hitter. He couldn't hit a lick in big league, but at AAA he was like the home run king
Yeah,
this
but
year.
that's Triple A. I mean,
Yeah,
cool.
exactly. Trade him if he's a hot commodity right now and you can get something in return. Trade him.
Yeah. So anyway, I think that's why, you're seeing that, but you have to think about it too, is that anybody who's trading for a rental bat that would be not Josh Naylor, it's going to be a contending team. You're not going to get a starting pitcher from a contending team. You would get prospects from a contending team. Also, if a contending team needs a power bat first baseman, um, wouldn't you want one of those too? So, because you're going to be a contending team. So there's
I
just
want
certain
Josh Naylor.
aspects of
Don't
things.
you can't trade Josh Naylor just
I
yet.
I
Like I get
agree
it, folks. If next year at the trade deadline and we're not where we're supposed to
exactly,
be and you want to make moves,
exactly.
by all means make moves. The Guardians
So
are going to have a little bit more cash this year.
yes,
Will they spend it? I hope so. Bally Sports doesn't own us anymore. We're a free agent, quote unquote. We can. I'm interested to see where the Guardians end up and who's going to
MLB.
stream
MLB
their
is
games.
producing it.
Right, but like, does that mean a local network is able to pick them up and show
Nope.
games? No.
MLB's doing it all themselves. So they've
Okay.
got like 6 teams now, same as the Padres.
Well,
So the Guardians will make money off of the stream, and then they'll
that's great.
negotiate a channel with cable. For those of you who don't know about that situation, the Guardians had negotiated a 1 year deal this year with Bally as Bally was going through bankruptcy. But then now MLB, same as they did with the Padres, and I think the Twins are another team that got picked up by MLB. MLB
Arizona
has now 6 teams
Diamondbacks.
under
There's a
their
few.
rights.
Hmm.
So they
Does that mean,
ML
yeah, because Bally doesn't even exist now. It's FanDuel.
yeah, I found that
FanDuel,
out yesterday with the
FanDuel got
Cavs
him when I
game.
went to watch the Cavs, and I'm like,
Right.
FanDuel? What?
Well,
FanDuel owns him now.
all my
Great,
apps were
awesome.
gone. I was like, what happened? Like, where's the
Yeah,
Bally app? I was so confused. But
that's
anyway, I
good.
do have reason to believe, and this kind of goes into that with the contract situation
Mhm.
of TV. If you remember at the beginning of the season when we had Rosie on, and I was a little harsh with the front office and their off season, and he said they believe they're a playoff team. And I was like, well, but they're not really acting like it. Like they didn't do a lot. I mean, they did some things in terms of the off season, but not a lot. Like and he said, well, he thought that the uncertainty of the TV contract, not knowing how much money they would make from Bally, had something to do with that. So that's no longer an issue, right? No longer an issue. They know how much money they're going to make. We had not record, excuse me. We had the most attendance from fans since 2008. So that's extra money that now is available. They have the playoff revenue, TV gates. It's split up in a weird
And
way.
for those that missed it, the Guardians Yankee 5 game series was heavily watched. The 5 game
I
with the
don't
Tigers was heavily
I
watched.
don't think I think TV distribution though is an even split of like the
It's
farther you
yeah,
get, the more of the pool you get.
that's possible. Yeah, I know
So
our ratings were really good for the games.
yeah, I don't
They
think
they were
my
definitely
point is
watched.
I don't think Guardians Yankees get more money because more people watch their game. I think it's a split even amongst playoff teams. Same thing
Okay.
with Gates. And then there's a pool of money that goes to the players too. But anyway, but still more revenue for the team, right? All those things. And so you no longer have some of these roadblocks that they've had. You no longer have like the pandemic where fans couldn't show up or you couldn't there was no games at all in 2020. And then, in 21 it was a partial season where fans couldn't go. And then the TV contract issue. All those roadblocks are now gone. On top of that, by my count, we had the Josh Bell trade for Gene Segura. And Gene Segura, we had to take on a bunch of his salary. I think we paid him like 15 million to not play for the team.
Something, yeah, something
So
like that.
with our free agents, so players like Scott Barlow, who they cut, Ramon Laureano, Shane Bieber, Alex Cobb, Carlos Carrasco, Austin Hedges, etc. So players to be free agents.
Hmm.
They have about 46 million coming off of the books. And then they have an estimated 32 million in, with estimated arbitration from Spot Rack and then guaranteed pay increases of only 32 million. So 14 million right there just to spend if you kept the salary the same, right? At 106 million.
Right.
In 2016, the team's salary was 105 million. Ah, very close to our 106 million now. Then
Yeah.
that number bumped up to 132 the next year. Then that number bumped up to, I think, 145 the following year in 2017, or excuse me, in 2018. And then that's where it peaked.
Right.
So even if they make the same bump from year to year, from the World Series year to 2017, that's about 40 million this offseason that would be available to Antonetti to spend, whether it's extensions, bringing back guys that are free agents, Shane Bieber, for instance, or spending on other free agents. There is some money available, I do believe. And Paul Dolan, you want to say what you want to say. He has always said when the team makes money, when the team brings in more revenue, that gets reinvested back into the team. So there's all those things that have now brought in more money for the team. And in years past, he has kept his word on that. When the team makes the playoffs, they usually go get a couple of free agents. In 2022, after 2022, they went and got Josh Bell and Mike Zunino. Now you might say, well, those guys were worthless, and fine, but they still spent 18 million for that one season on Josh Bell. They still signed Zunino for 6 million. So they still raised, I think they raised the payroll from year to year on that like 30 million. Um, and then I mentioned the raises from 16, 17, and 18. So when they make the playoffs, they do spend. 2020 is just its own different anomaly with the pandemic and no fans and no TV and all those different things. But I have reason to believe that they will spend.
It makes sense too. I mean, do I want Austin Hedges back? Maybe not as an everyday player. I want Austin Hedges as a coach because his batting average is what bugs me. It I get that he's a defensive catcher and we saw the difference between having Austin Hedges in 2024 to not having him last year.
Hmm.
We saw it. The pitching staff was tremendously better. I'm not crediting Bo Naylor with that. I'm not crediting David Fry with that. I'll credit Austin Hedges because he's a veteran catcher, knows what he's doing. I want him as a coach. Is he ready to retire? Who knows? I would love for them to treat him like we did Mike Napoli for a little while. By the way, Mike Napoli is available if our coaching staff is looking for. I would love to resurrect the party at Napoli's. That was an amazing run. Let's bring it back. But
Now
I think the
Napoli's been a
Guardians,
first base coach. Could he be a hitting coach?
he might be because the Guardians
Hmm.
need one, but we'll
Hmm.
talk about that
Hmm.
here in a second. I think the Guardians are going to spend a little money. Do I think that they're going to break the bank? Absolutely not. Do I think Shane Bieber signs a 1 year deal full of extension or full of incentives? Yes. Do I think Bieber wants to pitch here? Absolutely. Do I think they go out and maybe get a bat in the middle of the order? Potentially. We're
You
gonna
want to
need a
know? You want
catcher.
to know who's on the top of my wish list?
You got it with Lane. You didn't get it with Brian Reynolds. You did get it with Lane Thomas. So who's on your wish list, Brian?
I
Who is it?
think he perfectly fits into the lineup. I think he
Okay.
perfectly fills a defensive need in a position. I think he would
Okay.
just be bonkers as like the fifth hitter.
Okay.
And his estimated salary in free agency. So I think he's 29. His estimated salary would be 5 years at 100 million, so 20 million a year, which is which is
Yeah,
a pretty good
that's
salary. But they've
yep.
spent it before. They've spent 20 million a year on
5 year,
and
100
and
mil. Okay. I think
Encarnacion.
I think I know where you're going. I'm
Okay,
I'm interested to see if
what's
we
your
match
guess?
up. Cody Bellinger.
No, not Bellinger.
No.
Anthony Santander.
And I could
Switch
go with
hitting right
that.
fielder, 40 home
I could get
runs.
on board with that. Anthony Santander, great ball player. Slides right into to
Right
right
field,
field.
Lane in
John
center,
Kenzie Noel
Quan in left.
can come off the bench. Will Brennan, possible platoon bat, could be a trade piece. It's wishful thinking. I'd love it. I don't. I think Baltimore is going to start going with some of their young guys. They don't need Santander. He could come play for us. As long as he doesn't don the pinstripes, I don't care. Or go out to LA and play for the Dodgers because those two teams just throw money at problems. Same with the New York Mets. We'll just
Well,
have a $300 million
you
payroll.
there's one important aspect of this because I do feel like it is a tired argument of like, well, billionaire owners aren't going to pull money out of their own bank account and 100 million a year to spend on ball players. What they will do is treat the team like a business, and as the team makes money, they will put money back into it. The Dodgers TV contract pays them 300 million a year. That more than pays for their roster. The Guardians got 50 million last year. That paid for half their roster. So I mean, that right there, like, I know you
Large
can say, well,
market,
these are billionaires.
small
Who cares
market.
about the billionaires? But that right there is a perfect example of this is why the economics of baseball are the way they are. Because if the Dodgers can pay for their entire roster with their TV money, they're going to have an unfair advantage compared to Cleveland.
Well, and obviously baseball needs a salary cap, and that's a whole nother podcast. That's a whole nother debate for a whole different day. I'm excited that we made it as far as we made it. We are looking for a new hitting coach for those that missed it. Chris Valleca just signed to go back to team up with Tito in Cincinnati. I hope that that's the only coach that he takes off of our team. I doubt it. Um, if you remember right, Tito left and his some of his guys stayed. I know a lot of people are thinking Carl Willis will join him. Cincinnati has a pitching coach. His name's Derek Johnson. Um, do could he leave and them go after Carl Willis? Sure. Do I think that happens? I don't. I hope not. I hope that ownership is keeping an eye on it. And I wish Tito luck in Cincinnati. They're a great young team, and there is nothing more in this world that I would love to have an all Ohio World Series. Cincinnati against Cleveland. I think that would be phenomenal. And the fact that it's Tito on the other side, that's amazing. But I digress. Again, that's a whole nother pod, another day. We are looking for a hitting coach. We know this team's going to make some moves. Brian and I guarantee, will be popping in and out. We're not retiring for the season. It's not like we move to our Boca Raton summer home in Florida and just sit around and do nothing. We both of us still scour uh, X, Twitter, whatever we're calling it these days, news, notes, all of that. We are looking for Guardians news all the time, and if it's big, we'll talk about it. We know the Guardians are going to make some moves. We know that people are going to be unhappy about it. We know that, well, Dolan sucks as an owner. We know all of this is coming. It hasn't stopped for the 4 years, 5 years that we've been doing this pod. It's not going to stop anytime soon. But can we at least be happy? We're not the Browns. Would you trade?
The
I
Browns,
mean,
so the Guardians were in the Final Four, like Final Four
yeah,
teams. The Browns
yeah.
haven't been to the AFC Championship since 1989.
No, we were there against Kansas City
That was
that one
the
year.
the division. That
Was
wasn't the
that not even
AFC.
the oh, okay. That was the yeah.
Hmm.
I digress. I'm not a Browns fan much right now. It is what it is. They're a franchise in desperate need of help, and they'll get it eventually. But guys, the Guardians were the second best team in the American League. That's where we sat most of the season, if not all of the season.
Right.
Second place in the
Yeah.
American League.
The number one and number two seeds ended up in the final two teams
Kudos.
in the AL,
Kudos.
and the number one team ended up as the top team. I mean, so
Fantastic.
it was by they had us by one game, but it was one game
Yeah.
enough, and we talked about just their stars. You're right, their stars did show up. Just
Mhm.
Soto, Judge, Stanton, just man, it's like you just felt even when you felt like you had an edge, all of a sudden they find one outside of the zone because wasn't Soto's home run I I think it would have been a ball. The
No,
this
no, 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 no. It was a strike. Where Gaddis threw it, the fastball, that was a strike.
Then maybe I'm
On
thinking of
pitch tracks,
maybe I'm thinking of
it
Giancarlo's.
basically Soto's home run was belt high right in the zone. Like he basically gave Soto a gift. Why he
One
threw him a fastball, I'll never understand, but
one of them
Soto was looking for it the entire time.
one of them was high. It must have been Giancarlo's, but one of them
That
was
Stanton's was high. I remember that one.
yeah.
Yeah. His was
Uh
a ball and he still knocked it out of the park.
right. And so it's like what do you do there? So I mean it just stuff happens.
It sucks.
But
It does.
you got to use it as a stepping point. You
Hmm.
have to use it as a stepping point. We said this in 22. Like it's got to be a stepping point, and I think they tried to make it a stepping point. Um, Josh Bell was a silver slugger in
Hmm.
22, and
He
then
played better once he left Cleveland, just for all
yeah,
those that like it
and
happens.
so you went and got Josh Bell because you thought he was going to be the power that you needed in that lineup.
Mhm.
And he just didn't perform.
You
It just
thought the
didn't
same was
happen.
Zanino, and he got hurt and never rebounded to being what he could be.
Yeah, and
It
Zanino was a
happens. You
clear
take
stopgap
chances.
to Bo.
Yeah.
So hopefully, you can argue the merits of their free agent acquisitions over the last several years. I mean, Edwin tailed off too, and then they ended up trading him for Carlos Santana, um, to bring Santana back. But I do think that they are going to make some moves and to supplement this roster and hopefully make it one of the best rosters. We need starting pitching. There's a lot of question marks in the starting pitching department.
Alex Cobb won't be back. Matthew Boyd was only on a 1 year deal. Bieber was hurt. Logan Allen spent almost the entire second half in AAA. Tristan
Tristan
McKenzie
McKenzie.
was gone most of the year down in AAA.
Now, Zach
We've got
Meisel
things.
did
We got.
say that according to Antonetti, there is mutual interest with Boyd, Bieber, and Cobb. So,
I don't want Alex Cobb unless he can stay healthy and he can show me why we traded for him. Because I was pretty disappointed with Cobb's performance. He
yeah,
just kept
it
getting hurt. I mean, it's
right.
it's it's a fact. I mean,
Cobb is old. We could
he's 30
probably
something. Yeah, it's if we
we could
can
do
get him on a
without him.
cheap deal, he's a depth piece.
I mean, you
Okay.
you had like I don't know, you can't predict a fingernail splitting in
Mm-mm.
half off of
Or
your
his hip,
hand.
his surgically repaired hip flaring up because his body, the way he was contorting his body to pitch,
Well, and
flared up his hip, and then it hurt
he
his
didn't
back.
he
And
didn't have he didn't have a normal ramp up. He didn't,
mm-mm.
you're not just gonna go if you don't weight lift for 2, 3 months, you're not gonna go back
Right.
in there just throwing around the same weight that you used to.
Nope. You got to build
So
back up.
so it's the
We
same thing
got
with
Bybee.
Cobb here.
We're good. We got Bybee. He's the cornerstone. Joey Cantillo pitched really well towards the end of the season. I'm okay with him sticking around.
Gavin.
I'm sure we've got Gavin. Good. Hopefully Gavin can figure it out.
Lively will be back. He's pre-arbitration, I believe.
Yep. So we've got some starting pieces. The offense needs a little bit of love. Brian Rocchio showed me that he can hit. He may make a
Oh man.
defensive miscue or two or three or 10, but Brian Rocchio can hit. Now,
I need Brian Rocchio
winter ball,
just to take
winter ball,
regular
go
grounders.
work on grounders all winter long, Brian. Work on all winter long.
Not the hard
You
plays,
can
the
Nope,
routine
you can be
ones.
our shortstop. You can be our shortstop. Jimenez is at second. Jose is at third. We know that. Bo Naylor's catching. Josh can play first. Kyle Manzardo can DH. You bring in John Kenzie. You've got David Fry. You've got Kwan. You've got Lane Thomas. There are some solid pieces here. We just need to improve a little bit. We hit that wall that was the New York Yankees. They were a little bit better than us.
Yeah. And then
Maybe
there's
if our pitching was a little bit better and things were managed a little different, we could be in LA getting ready to play the World Series.
yeah.
It's a fact of life. But
Well, and
hey, we
David
got
Fry
winter
did get
meetings
hurt.
coming. Winter meetings are coming up, and you're going to hear rumors and trades and extensions and all sorts of things are coming. They will.
Yeah, and I guess that's a good segue. Keep in mind that just because somebody called about a player doesn't mean that the Guardians are going to trade that
Who
player.
wouldn't call? What it doesn't hurt
But
to
but
ask.
but
What's
but
the worst they can say?
the
No,
freak out that because
no.
remember,
People lost it. Class A. People
Clase,
were calling
Bieber,
about
and
Class
Josh
A, and they're like,
Naylor
"Oh
were
no,
all
get
traded
yeah."
last year.
Guys,
They were all
listen.
traded, all of them.
Jose was traded too before he signed his extension.
Right.
Like the
They
rumors
were all traded
were
according to the
populating.
rumors. So
Right.
just remember
Just
that. Like
chill.
just take a deep breath. If it happens, then you can freak out if you don't like it.
Mhm.
But until it does, I don't understand the wasted energy on, well, so and so called about Josh Naylor. Well, of course they did because he's on a 1 year
Great.
deal. Doesn't
Great.
mean
It doesn't
that they're
hurt to ask.
and I'll also tell you
I'd
this.
call the Yankees and ask them about Aaron Judge.
Right, right. They're gonna
Juan
hang up on you
Soto,
quickly.
probably, but I'll call LA about Shohei. I'll call and ask. You can have a conversation,
Right.
but just people freak. I'm like, really, guys, until it happens, calm down.
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
Because remember,
It's
Shane
like you
Bieber was
said, it's
traded last year,
wasted,
and so was
it's
Josh, and
wasted
so was
energy.
Class A. All of them were traded, I think, to the Dodgers. Or
Dodgers,
since
the Yankees, or the Mets, or the Padres. There were so many other. I mean, it is what
so
it is.
just keep that in mind. Like it's there's probably gonna be rumors.
Oh yeah,
And we'll see what
lots of
happens from
rumors.
it. Uh, but
It was a great season. Can we
yeah,
celebrate that? We
yes we can.
need to, as fans, celebrate it. You came out, you supported the team.
I
They
will
made
say
it to the ALCS.
there were so many parts of this playoff run I'll never forget. That 5 run
Exactly.
first inning against
Yeah,
Detroit, the Lane Thomas grand slam against Skubal in game 5,
that was
the
a memory.
David Fry home run in I think game
Hmm.
4, the pinch hit home run, and then the
Yeah.
David
John
Fry, John
Kenzie's
Kenzie no
bomb.
home runs. I mean, the calls too, just uh, even the regular broadcast, Brian
Hmm.
Anderson's call for the John Kenzie home run, all that stuff I just had on repeat. Plus the fans doing all the edits to the
Hmm.
music. You had the Moneyball music, and you had
Yeah, you
the
had Titanic. You had
right, all of them. It was
kudos
so
to
much
y'all
fun.
because those were great. This was so much fun. We told you at the beginning of the season, guys, it's a roller coaster. There's going to be ups and downs, highs and lows. We experienced them. We had the greatness of wins. Game 4, David Fry. Somebody still needs to check on Tom Hamilton. I swore I heard him crying when David Fry hit that home run. Uh, and then the lows, guys. Juan Soto's home run. Yeah, it hurt. I felt like my heart was ripped out of my chest watching it. But that's why baseball is so great. It always tells a story. Wasn't our year this year, but guys, we're there. Our window is open. We just have to keep winning games, and we'll improve, and we'll
Right.
make the minor changes that we need to make. And we're in a division where we could easily win it again next year.
Yeah, it's I hope they take advantage. I hope they reward the 2 million fans that showed up at
Mhm.
Progressive Field this year.
Hey, I'm
Um,
one. I got this really sweet red towel.
there's going to
Do
be
I
more
do I think that
renovations.
do I think we could have gotten something better? Sure, but it's a nice towel. I have 6 of them. I saw them on eBay, people selling them for like $40.
What?
Yeah, exactly. I'm
40
not selling
bucks for a
this.
rally
Yeah,
towel? No, I'm not selling
I'm
mine.
not I'm not
They
selling
I think
this.
they were
No
different
thanks.
for I have 3 different versions.
Yeah, this was the Tigers series.
Okay. Game
Your
1,
game 2.
game 2. Gotcha.
Hey, Brian, it was an amazing season.
Yeah.
I'm leaving it on a positive note. It was great. Stay tuned, fans. The best is yet to come. It's coming. Just like a great meal. Sometimes you just got to savor it. We'll savor defeat for now. It's okay. Sun comes up tomorrow. We're still better than the Browns. Basketball season just kicked off. College
Man,
football's in full swing.
Evan Mobley looked good last night.
The
Looked real
Cavs,
good.
Cavs. Hey, Brian and I aren't starting a Cavs pod. Just throwing that out there. We're not. We're casual fans. But
All right.
Brian,
Where can
pleasure
people
as
find you, Mike?
always. Facebook and Twitter at Mike Vorhies. My name's right there. You'll see it. There's my name. Brian, how about you and us?
At WXSHAW on Twitter. We are Guardcast MLB on Twitter, MLB Guardcast on Facebook. If you watch us on YouTube, you can listen to us on Spotify and Apple. If you're listening, you can watch us on YouTube. We'll be back probably sometime around the winter meetings.
Winter meeting sounds about right. We're gonna take a little break. We're gonna enjoy some free time, but we'll keep our ear to the ground. We'll hear if things are coming.
Yeah, if something big happens, like I don't know, coaching hire, or
Yeah,
if it's
we'll talk
relevant,
about it.
or a trade, something cool happens, we'll let you know about it. Talk to you
Go
then.
Guards.